My name is Claire Weston. I'm 34 years old. And I'm about to tell you something I probably shouldn't. It's the kind of thing you say with a crooked smile and a glass of wine in your hand, thinking it's all just harmless. A joke. A passing moment of boldness that you can laugh away the next day. But sometimes, just sometimes, the universe leans in and takes you seriously. And then everything changes. I've been married to Evan for 9 years. 9 quiet, steady, safe years. He's the kind of man your mother prays you'll end up with: reliable, hardworking, never cruel or careless. He folds the laundry. He fixes the leaky faucet without being asked. He leaves sleepy kisses on my shoulder in the morning before his run. God, I used to love those kisses. I used to pretend I was asleep just so I could feel them, light and warm, like a secret only he and I shared before the rest of the world woke up. And the way he'd wrap his arm around me at night, pulling me into the curve of his chest, it made me feel wanted. Held. But lately when he kisses my shoulder, it feels like habit. Like brushing his teeth. A ritual performed without thought. His hand on my hip at night feels heavier somehow, not protective, but possessive. Like he's holding on to an idea of me he's too tired to check against the real thing. Sometimes I turn to him in bed, curling into his side the way I always have, but his body stiffens, like he forgot that intimacy was part of the deal. His arm comes around me, slow and dutiful, and I feel less like his lover and more like an obligation. A task to be checked off. I don't know when it started. Maybe it was the night we went to that terrible couple's dinner party, the one where he didn't notice when I stopped laughing at his jokes. Or maybe it was all the mornings he left before I woke up, so I could only pretend to feel his kisses. Or maybe it was the day that Nora came back into my life. Nora Harper. God. I hadn't seen her in years, not since college, when everything was simpler, messier, more alive. Back then we'd shared everything. Secrets, cigarettes on the dorm balcony, breathless, drunken confessions under dim lamps at midnight. We'd even kissed once, just to see what it felt like. Just to see. And when she showed up last month, all bright eyes and soft smiles, telling me she was back in town and miserable in her marriage, it was like someone lit a match inside my chest. I should just leave him, she said, swirling her wine glass between her fingers on my couch, her knees tucked up, the way they used to be. I laughed. Too hard. Too sharp. Maybe you should, I joked. Leave him. Run away. Come here. It slipped out. I didn't mean it. Not really. But she looked at me, really looked, and there was something electric in her eyes. Something I hadn't seen in so long. That was the moment. The moment everything shifted, though I didn't know it yet. Because the next day, the very next day, she was standing on my doorstep with a duffel bag and a wild, terrified smile. Claire, she said softly. I left him. And I knew, standing there in the doorway with my heart pounding against my ribs, that I'd cracked something wide open. Something that couldn't be laughed away. Something that had been sleeping in me, quiet and hungry, for a long, long time. I should have felt panic. Guilt. Fear. But all I felt was awake. For the first time in years. And that terrified me more than anything. Evan came home late that night, smelling like antiseptic and exhaustion. He's a trauma nurse, the calm in other people's chaos. 12-hour shifts, 4 nights a week. When we first met, I thought it was beautiful, the way he could hold strangers' lives in his hands and walk away untouched. Like some quiet, invincible thing. But somewhere along the way, that invincibility turned into distance. Tonight he dropped his bag by the door, kicked off his shoes, and padded into the kitchen where I was mindlessly stirring pasta. Hey, babe, he murmured, slipping his arms around my waist from behind. His lips brushed my neck. Missed you today. I stiffened. Not because I didn't want him to touch me, but because it felt so automatic. Like flipping a switch. Like this was what husbands were supposed to do when they got home, wrap their wives up and kiss the back of their necks and say the right thing. Hey, I said, trying to smile, trying to soften. His hands roamed over my stomach, resting low on my hips, pulling me gently against him. I stared at the boiling water, the noodles going soft and limp. Long shift? I asked. He hummed into my hair. Car accident on 94. Messy. Kid made it, though. Lucky little guy. He turned me around, his fingers lifting my chin. His blue eyes searched my face, but not deeply enough. Like he was scanning for a familiar expression, not for the truth. You okay? You seem, he frowned slightly. Distant. I almost laughed. Just tired, I said instead. His mouth found mine, warm, familiar, but I felt nothing bloom in my chest. Nothing stir. His kiss pressed a little too eagerly, as if trying to coax something awake in me that wasn't there. When he pulled back, his brows pinched. I feel like I can't reach you lately, he murmured. Like you're somewhere else. I opened my mouth to tell him about Nora, about the way the world had shifted under my feet when she knocked on our door yesterday, but the words tangled in my throat. Because what would I say? That my old friend, my maybe something more, had left her husband and run to me? That I felt alive when I shouldn't? Instead I shrugged. I don't know. I guess I've been in my head. He brushed my cheek with the back of his hand. You know you can talk to me. About anything. Right? I wanted to believe him. I wanted to pour out the ache in my chest, the confusion, the guilt, the thrill I couldn't name. But this was Evan. Logical, steady Evan, who fixed things. Who wanted problems he could mend with his hands, not messy, shapeless things like longing. I'm fine, I said softly. His thumb grazed my lip. Maybe you need to unwind. After dinner, he smiled, that familiar, hopeful smile, and I knew what he was offering. His way of connecting. Of bridging the space that had grown between us. But I didn't want his hands on my body. Not yet. Not without my heart catching up. I'm tired, I said quickly, turning back to the stove. Can we just eat and watch something? Silence stretched behind me. When I glanced back, I saw the flicker of frustration in his eyes. I'm trying, Claire, he said quietly. You push me away every time I get close. I don't know what else to do. I gripped the spoon tighter. It's not about the touching, Evan. I need you to see me. Really see me. Not just reach for me like I'm supposed to make you feel better. His jaw tightened. I do see you, he insisted. I come home from hell every night to you. You're the one person who makes it all okay. But that was the problem, wasn't it? He needed me to be his soft place to land, but I was cracking inside. And I couldn't hold him up if no one was holding me. He stepped closer, brushing my hair from my face. I miss us, Claire. I swallowed hard. I miss me, Evan. And for the first time, his hand fell away. I saw it in his face, the misunderstanding sinking in. He thought this was about him. About his touch. But it was about the space growing in my chest. The quiet whisper that maybe, just maybe, I didn't belong here anymore. And maybe I never did. Saturday morning. Sunlight poured through the curtains, warm on my skin as I stood at the sink, rinsing coffee mugs from the night before. I'd barely slept, my head thick with thoughts of Nora, her bag sitting in my guest room, her breathless laugh echoing in my mind like an old song. Evan slipped in behind me, his arms wrapping around my waist again like they always did. Like they were supposed to. Morning, gorgeous, he murmured, pressing a slow kiss to my neck. I stiffened. Just a little. Just enough. He didn't seem to notice. His hand slid lower, fingers curling over the waistband of my pajama shorts. His chin rested on my shoulder as he swayed me gently against him. Smells like coffee. You made my favorite? His voice was soft, teasing. Yeah. Left some for you, I said quietly, trying to keep my body from locking up completely. His hand wandered, playful, giving my backside a little slap, light, familiar. But the sound of it snapped in my chest like a rubber band. I flinched. Just a tiny movement. Barely there. But I felt it. His breath caught. I felt him freeze behind me for a moment, hesitation, confusion, and then his touch softened. Hey, his voice was low now, careful. What's going on, Claire? I kept scrubbing the mug in my hands, heart thudding dully. Nothing. Just tired. He slid around to face me, tipping my chin up with 2 fingers. His eyes searched mine, brow creased. You pull away every time I touch you lately. I shook my head. No, I don't. His thumb traced my cheekbone. Claire. God, the way he said my name, gentle, patient, like he was coaxing me out of hiding. I hated how much I wanted to fall into that old comfort. To let him smooth the rough edges, make everything simple again. But it wasn't simple. Not anymore. His hand cupped my face, warm and familiar. He leaned in, pressing his mouth to mine, slow, lingering, full of meaning. I let him. But inside, something curled away. Like pulling a blanket tight around a hollow space. The kiss ended, and I smiled, because I was supposed to. Because he needed me to. You're quiet lately, he murmured, rubbing his thumb along my jaw. You okay? I swallowed hard. Yeah. Just a lot on my mind. He smiled, soft and tired, and brushed my hair behind my ear. Maybe I can help you forget for a while, he said gently, his finger sliding down my neck. We could go back to bed for a little? His mouth brushed my temple, his touch warm against my throat. And my whole body tensed. Not because I didn't want him. Not exactly. I wanted to want him. But there was this yawning space inside me, an ache that no kiss or caress could reach. I stepped back, breaking the moment. Evan. I'm not in the mood right now. His hand dropped to his side. His face shuddered, just for a second. Right. Sure. Of course. He stepped away, scratching the back of his neck. Lately, it feels like you're never in the mood. I said nothing. I couldn't explain this knot in my chest. This weight that pressed down every time he touched me like that. He ran a hand through his hair, exhaling slowly. I'm just trying to be close to you, Claire. I don't know what you want from me anymore. I stared down at the wet mug in my hands, soap bubbles sliding down the sides. I want you to see me first, I whispered. Not just touch me. But I don't think he heard. Or maybe he didn't understand. Why did everything have to turn into sex? It happened over takeout. Thai food, on the couch, quiet music in the background, the kind of evening Evan thought would make everything okay again. He sat close, his thigh pressed against mine, picking at his noodles. His leg brushed mine again and again, casual, familiar. His hand landed on my knee halfway through dinner, thumb stroking circles. I felt it burning into my skin. Maybe we should go away next weekend, he said, mouth full. Just the 2 of us. Get out of the house. Recharge. I booked the cabin upstate, you love it there. I stared at the glowing TV screen, not watching. Claire? You'd like that, right? I blinked. My heart was thudding in my chest. Did you ask me first? He paused, chopsticks halfway to his mouth. What? The cabin. Did you ask if I wanted to go? Or did you just book it because you thought you knew what I needed? His brows knit. I thought it'd make you happy. I'm trying to do something nice, I cut him off, my voice sharp and rising before I could stop it. I don't want a weekend away. The words cracked the quiet room like glass breaking. I don't want to pretend everything's fine in some cabin like we're still us. He set his food down slowly, staring. Where the hell is this coming from? He said softly. I stood, pacing the living room, fingers twisting in the hem of my shirt. The dam inside me broke. It's coming from the fact that I feel like I'm suffocating, Evan. Like you keep reaching for me with your hands but you don't see me, you don't hear me. You keep kissing me and touching me and dragging me into bed like that's supposed to fix everything. His face hardened. I don't drag you into bed. Tears burned my eyes. I don't want to be touched if you can't touch the part of me that's falling apart. The room went dead silent. I pressed my palm to my mouth, breath shaking. Evan stared up at me, jaw tight, something fierce flashing in his eyes, but also confusion. Fear. Claire, he stood slowly. I'm trying. I've been trying for months. You don't talk to me anymore. You won't let me in. My chest heaved. Because you don't see me, Evan. My voice broke. You see the woman who folds your laundry, who smiles when you come home, who kisses you goodnight. You see the version of me that makes you feel safe. But you don't see the woman who's falling apart inside because everything feels wrong. His mouth opened, then closed. He rubbed his face with both hands, silent, pacing to the window and back. Jesus, Claire. You wait until now to tell me this? When we're falling apart already? I wiped at my eyes, tears spilling fast. Nora left her husband yesterday, I blurted. He froze. What? I swallowed hard. My throat burned. She left him. She knocked on our door with a bag in her hand. She's sleeping in the guest room right now. He stared like I'd punched him. What the hell? His voice dropped low and dangerous. And you're telling me this now? I crumbled onto the couch, face in my hands. It's not about her. It's not. It's me. I said something stupid. I joked that she should leave him. And she did. And now everything feels like it's spinning out of control and I don't know who I am anymore and you keep touching me and I want to scream because I can't. I can't pretend anymore, I broke. The sobs came hard, messy, ugly. My body shook. Evan stood there, staring, helpless. Angry and lost. Jesus Christ, Claire, his voice was rough. Why didn't you tell me you were feeling like this? I thought we were okay. I thought this was just a phase. I wiped at my face with my sleeve, my stomach turning with guilt. I wanted to tell you. I tried. But every time I opened my mouth you kissed me. Or grabbed my waist. Or suggested sex like it was the cure for everything broken between us. Silence. I buried my face in my hands, breathing ragged. Why does everything have to turn into sex? The words hung in the air, bitter and sharp. And for the first time in a long time, I felt completely, painfully alone. The house went quiet after that night. For days, Evan barely spoke to me. Not angry, not openly, but heavy. Careful. Like stepping around something fragile on the floor that might shatter again. He came home from his shifts, dropped his bag by the door like always. But he didn't kiss me. Didn't wrap his arms around me from behind. He'd pour himself coffee in the morning without offering me any. He'd sit on the edge of the bed at night staring at his phone instead of curling up beside me like he used to. And I missed him. God, I missed him. I missed the quiet weight of his hand on my hip in the dark. The familiar scratch of his unshaved jaw against my neck. The way he used to look at me when he thought I wasn't watching, warm and certain, like I was the one fixed thing in his world. But I didn't know how to reach him. Every time I opened my mouth, the words dried up. What could I say now? After what I'd screamed at him? After dragging my confusion and longing and Nora's name right into the space between us like poison in the air? I caught him watching me sometimes. When he thought I wasn't looking. His eyes would drift over, soft and sad, before flicking away when I turned toward him. I'd see him sitting on the porch alone after dinner, the beer untouched in his hand, staring out at nothing. He was hurt. Of course he was. I'd broken something. And yet, some small, selfish part of me felt relief. Because for once, he wasn't reaching for me. Wasn't pressing his warmth and want against my skin when my chest felt hollow. We moved like strangers in the house we'd built together. Careful, polite strangers. Nora left 2 days after the blow-up. She packed her bag quietly and kissed my cheek by the door. "Figure it out," she whispered. "Whatever it is." I wanted to ask her what that meant, but I was too afraid to hear the answer. Now the house felt emptier than ever. One night, lying in the dark, I watched Evan's back rise and fall beside me. His breathing was slow. Steady. I wanted to reach for him. Rest my hand on his shoulder. Slide against his warmth. But I didn't. Because what if he turned away? Or worse, what if he welcomed it like nothing had happened, like touching me was enough to patch over the crack in my chest? I stared at the ceiling, my throat tight, my heart aching. He wasn't a bad man. Not selfish. Not cruel. He was just lost. Like me. Trying to fix what he didn't understand. Trying to touch what he couldn't see. I thought of all the times I'd smiled for him when I didn't feel like smiling. Kissed him when I wanted to cry. Let him hold me when my skin screamed for space. And he had no idea. No wonder he was confused. No wonder he thought this came out of nowhere. Maybe I'd made this distance. Maybe I'd taught him that my silence was peace. That my body was permission. I turned toward him in the dark, watching the faint glow of the clock on his face. I wanted him. Not his touch. Not his need. Him. But could I reach him without losing myself again? I pressed my hand flat against my chest, breathing slowly. Tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow I'd try. Or maybe I'd walk away. Because staying meant letting him see all of me, the ache, the want, the confusion. And I didn't know if I was brave enough for that. Not yet. The next morning came gray and slow. I found Evan in the kitchen, standing by the window with his coffee mug, staring out at the yard. He'd slept on the couch again. The pillow was still creased, the blanket folded carefully on the armrest. I stood there for a long time, watching him. The curve of his shoulders. The soft rise and fall of his breath. For a moment, I wanted to cross the floor and wrap my arms around him from behind. Lay my cheek between his shoulder blades like I used to. Feel his warmth and let me pretend, that we could start over. But I didn't move. He sensed me there. "Hey," he said softly, turning just enough to see me. His face was tired. His eyes rimmed red like he hadn't really slept. I stepped closer, fingers curling in the hem of my sweater. "I'm sorry," I said, voice thin and shaky. "For the way I dumped all that on you. For holding it in for so long. I should have told you sooner." He gave a small, sad smile. "Yeah. You should have." Silence settled between us. Heavy. Honest. "I wasn't trying to push you away," I whispered. I forgot how to reach for you without losing myself." His hand tightened on the coffee mug. "And I forgot how to listen," he said, voice low. "I thought, if I touched you enough, kissed you enough, you'd come back. Like that was all it would take." A faint, brittle laugh escaped me. We were both wrong. He turned, setting the mug down on the counter. His eyes met mine, soft, worn, full of something I couldn't quite name. "I love you, Claire," he said gently. "But I don't know if I can fix this. I don't know if we can fix this." My heart cracked wide. "Neither do I." He stepped close. Close enough that I could feel the warmth of him, familiar and safe and breaking me apart. His hand lifted, brushing my hair from my face. Then he leaned in and pressed a kiss to my forehead. Slow. Careful. Like goodbye. "I don't want to hurt you anymore," he murmured. Tears blurred my eyes. I swallowed hard. "I don't want to hurt you either." We stood there, breathing the same quiet air, his hand resting briefly on my shoulder, then falling away. "I'll stay at Mark's place for a while," he said softly. "Give you space." I nodded. My throat closed tight. He gathered his things in silence. His bag, his jacket. No anger. No slam of the door. Just the soft, final click as it closed behind him. I stood in the kitchen, the room still holding the ghost of his warmth, the scent of coffee in the air. Maybe this was the end. Or maybe it was the space we both needed to find ourselves again. Either way, it was over. For now. You know what they don't tell you about relationships? They don't tell you that sometimes love is still there, warm, patient, steady, and you can still feel lost. They don't warn you that you can share a bed, a mortgage, a life, and feel miles apart. I loved Evan. I still do. But love isn't enough when you forget how to reach someone. When you stop being brave enough to tell the truth before it hardens in your chest. That's what happened to me. I thought being a good partner meant swallowing the little things, the annoyances, the unmet needs, the quiet aches. I thought, it's fine. He means well. He loves me. And he did. But every time I bit my tongue instead of saying, "That touch doesn't feel good today," or "I need you to see me, not just hold me," I built a wall. Brick by quiet brick. Until one day I woke up and I was gone. Not from the house. Not from the marriage. From myself. I'd become this hollow version of me who smiled and kissed and made dinner, but flinched when he reached for me. Who gave him my body because it was easier than explaining why I didn't want to. And the worst part? I wanted to want him. I wanted the easy way we used to laugh on Saturday mornings. The way his hand on my hip used to make my heart skip, not twist. But you can't want what you've starved yourself of. You can't pour from a well that's run dry. I kept trying to fix it in my head. Telling myself, next weekend. Next date night. Next kiss. It'll come back. But it didn't. Because what I needed wasn't more sex. Or more plans. Or a surprise weekend at a cabin. I needed him to see me. To see the loneliness behind my smiles. The ache behind my polite "I'm fine." And I needed to be brave enough to show it. But I waited too long. That night, when I broke down over Thai food and said every awful, messy truth I'd swallowed for months, was the night I finally told the truth. And it cracked us wide open. Evan left 3 days ago. Not slamming doors or throwing blame. Just, quiet. Careful. Like someone stepping away from something fragile. He hugged me before he left. Pressed his lips to my forehead. I wanted to grab him and say, "Stay. Try again. We can fix this." But I didn't. Because for the first time in years, I knew the truth: I can't fix this by losing myself again. And maybe neither can he. So now I sit here. In this quiet house. And I wonder what will become of us. Maybe we'll find our way back. Maybe we'll meet for coffee in a month and laugh and remember what we loved about each other. Or maybe this is the ending. The gentle, sad kind, not fire and fury, but distance and silence. And maybe that's okay. Because here's what I've learned: love isn't about holding on at all costs. It's about being seen. And being brave enough to be seen, even when it risks everything. It's about saying, "I am lonely. I am lost. I need more than what we've been pretending is enough." I didn't know that before. I thought keeping the peace was love. I thought keeping him happy would keep me whole. But it doesn't work like that. You can love someone completely, and still have to let them go. You can want them, and still know they can't give you what you need. And you can be afraid, so afraid, and still choose to stand there and tell the truth anyway. That's what I did. And it cost me. But it also gave me something I'd almost lost: me. So if you're listening, if you're holding your breath, biting your tongue, hoping things will just magically get better, don't wait. Speak. Cry. Break the quiet. Because your heart, yourself, is worth hearing. Even if it breaks something. Even if it changes everything. It's worth it. I promise. 5.